Hey everyone! Today, I want to share a concept that could completely change how you think about working past your 60s. It is an idea that could prevent you from trading your most precious years for wealth you might never even get to enjoy. After working with hundreds of retirees, I've noticed a pattern. Many people keep working past 60, not because they have to, but because they've never really considered the true cost of their time, energy, and health, three things that money just can't buy back. And that's exactly what this video is about, helping you understand why age 60 is such a critical decision point. We'll explore how continuing to work without a clear purpose can actually work against the very retirement you've spent decades building. So, let's get into it. Let us talk about the big trade-off that really starts to shift after you turn 60. Every single day you work past this point, you're giving up something irreplaceable, your time, in exchange for something you'll likely never finish using, more money. I was talking with a client recently who was really struggling with this. He said, "I feel like I'm eating my own savings if I stop working right now." And that's a super common feeling, right? People get so used to seeing their accounts grow that the very idea of drawing down on that money feels like they're going backward. But as we talked, he had a breakthrough. He realized that the entire purpose of saving all those years was so he could eventually stop working and start living life on his own terms. Once that clicked, he felt so much better about his decision. And that's the heart of retirement, isn't it? Buying back your time. When you work past 60, without a clear reason why, you risk sacrificing some of the most vibrant, energetic years you have left. And for what? Just for a bigger number on a screen. The goal isn't to work until you physically can't anymore. It's to reach a point where your money gives you the freedom to live exactly how you want to. Hear us why that trade-off gets worse. As you get older, your time becomes infinitely more precious. It's not just because the clock is ticking, but because your health and energy levels naturally start to change. The things you might dream of doing at 60, like hiking through Italy, going on a long bike ride, or just spending a full day playing with your grandkids, those things don't get any easier at 68 or 75. I always say retirement isn't just about having free time, it's about having quality time. When you delay it for too long, you risk missing out on those bucket list moments while you're still at your peak. And that's the real cost. You can always work more to save more, but you can't buy back those years once they're gone. So yes, the trade-off of time for money gets a lot more expensive after 60. But what really drives this home is understanding that retirement isn't just about money. It's about balancing all of your resources, your time, your health, your energy, and your finances. Retirement is not just a financial decision, it's a balancing act. The key resources you're juggling are your time, your money, your health, and your energy. Think about it. When we're young, we usually have plenty of time and good health, but not a lot of money. So, we trade those first two to build up the third. That's normal. But what often gets missed is what happens once you've reached financial sufficiency. If you keep working past that point, you're not really gaining anything meaningful. You're just spending more of your time and your health for extra dollars you'll probably never even spend. At the end of the day, it's not about who dies with the biggest account balance. It's about how much of your retirement you actually got to live while you were still healthy enough to enjoy it. We see this all the time. People say, "I'll just work a few more years to build up that cushion a little higher." I get it, it feels like the safe move. But what they don't realize is that those few more years are often some of the best, most active years they have left. By the time they finally give themselves permission to retire, they've traded away energy, health, and once-in-a-lifetime experiences that they just can't get back. If you've reached financial sufficiency by age 60, and the numbers show you're okay, the conversation shouldn't be about squeezing out a few more dollars. It should be about reclaiming your time. Now, understanding that balance is key, but then I hear people say, "Well, I might be ready, but with the way the market is." And that's where we need to clear up another big misconception. The idea that the current financial landscape should dictate when you retire. A lot of people get tripped up, thinking that things like interest rates, inflation, or a down market should decide their retirement date. But that's just not true. The truth is, if your financial plan is built on solid fundamentals, things like long-term equity growth, rising dividends, and built-in flexibility, you don't need perfect timing. If capital markets continue to do what they've always done, adapt, capture profits, and ultimately expand, which we believe they will, then long-term investors don't need to over-index on the current financial climate. When you combine that with a modern withdrawal strategy, like the guardrail strategies we talk about, which can adjust to changing conditions, you're no longer dependent on timing the market. You're relying on a system that's built to adapt and support you, no matter what phase the economy is in. Some people get caught up in the idea that they should time their retirement with high interest rates or even which political party is in power. None of that should be the deciding factor. Sure, locking in a higher bond or annuity yield might feel smart in the moment, but building your entire retirement strategy around short-term economic conditions is not a sustainable plan. Rates go up and rates go down. That's what they do. Real success in retirement isn't about getting the timing perfect. It's about having the right portfolio structure, staying disciplined with your spending, and making smart tax decisions. When your plan leans more toward equities, it gives you the opportunity for your income to grow over time, instead of being tied to whatever interest rate was available the year you retired. One of the biggest reasons people work past 60, even when the numbers prove they don't have to, comes down to fear. And it's not always fear about money, it's fear about identity. After 30 or 40 years of building a routine, a title, and a sense of purpose, it's hard to imagine what life will look like without that. We've seen people hesitate because they're not sure. What will I do with my time? Or they secretly worry they'll lose their sense of value once the job stops. That's a very real fear, and it's something we have to address. That kind of uncertainty can keep people working long after they're financially ready. And here's the thing, those fears are totally valid, but they're also something you can plan for and address before you retire. What we see, time and time again, is that it's not a lack of money that keeps people at work, but fear and habit. After decades of having a structure, it's just easier to keep doing what you know, even when you don't need to anymore. The thing is, most of the concerns that drive that fear, like boredom, a lack of purpose, or losing a daily routine, are all focused on the problems of retirement, not the solutions. But when you plan ahead, when you really think about how you'll fill your days, stay connected, and maintain a sense of meaning, you start to feel confident about what's next. With the right plan, the psychological barriers that once made retiring at 60 feel risky can start to feel completely manageable. And while those fears are very real, they shouldn't be what holds you back. Because when you look at the actual experiences of people who have retired, the truth is pretty clear. Retiring sooner almost always leads to a better outcome. Over the years, I have never heard anyone say they regret retiring too early. But I've heard a lot of people say they wish they hadn't waited so long. It's a recurring theme. People look back and realize they gave up some of their best years, trying to hit some extra financial milestone that they didn't really need. If you look at it purely through the lens of having your best life experience, retiring sooner almost always delivers more value than working longer for a bigger balance. Okay, so let's talk about how you can make this happen. First, it starts with a comprehensive financial analysis, not just to check balances, but to confirm you're truly ready and to map out exactly where your income will come from. But it's not just about the numbers. You also want to think about how you're going to create structure and purpose for your days, whether that's through hobbies, travel, volunteering, or more time with family. That transition phase is really important. You also need a solid plan for your health care, especially if you retire before Medicare kicks in. And you want to make sure your other insurance needs are covered outside of your employer's benefits. On top of that, reviewing your lifestyle and making smart adjustments can help align your spending with your retirement goals so you can maintain the life you want without overextending your resource. You know, I've learned how to do several different woodworking projects on YouTube over the years. The nice thing is that with each new project, I get a little bit better. But retirement income planning isn't a project you get a do-over on. You want to get it right the first time. That's why working with qualified advisors is so critical. Not just to build a solid plan from the start, but to help you stay on track and adjust as life changes. That way, it frees you up to do the important work on the personal side, figuring out your new identity, your purpose, and what you're actually going to do with your days. Because when you're confident in your financial plan, and you're focused on staying healthy and doing things that fulfill you, retiring at 60 doesn't just make sense on paper, it feels right. Now that you understand why working past 60 can become an expensive trade-off, and how to make that transition with confidence, you're one step closer to figuring out the retirement age that works best for you. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and consider subscribing for more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.